Let's do this. What's up, everybody? There is no time. There's too much to get to on this state of the YOB. And it all starts with getting rid of these matches forever. I know in my last video I did one of these, but now I get to do that again because now, thanks to one of our incredible viewers, supporters, brothers, he not only hooked me up with one of these, I mean, I could go back there. There's two more. There's two more gigantic boxes. Look at all of these matches. Do y'all know how many State of the YOBs and Manly Mondays this is gonna fuel me? Like untold thousands of episodes. And look at this giant, like, whatever you call that. What do you call that? That's gotta have a name. Like a strip launch? Watch this. Y'all ready for this? Watch this. Oh yeah, with authority. Now we're ready to roll. Now it's State of the YOB. My name is Tom. I'm the co-founder and editor of Your Other Brothers. And we're a community navigating faith, homosexuality, and masculinity together. State of the YOB is our monthly roundup of everything we put on our website for the last 30, sometimes 31, sometimes 29, and sometimes 28 days. And for the month of March 2019, we put a lot out there in our blog, our podcast, and our video channel. Starting with our blog, our good friend and brother Matthew wrote a blog post called How My Best Friend's Relationship Affects Me. And this should be a common story to a lot of people in our community. If you have friends, if you have straight friends, if you have straight friends who date other straight people, and sometimes other straight friends, then this could be a quite relatable story for you. Matt's charting out his story. He's kind of going chronologically, story chapter by chapter, and this is the latest piece of that puzzle, and dealing with a friendship that used to be really strong and now things are changing, things are moving. And I say this with all sincerity because I love Matt. He's my dear friend and brother. Matt isn't like the most sensitive guy in the world. Like, he's kind of an anomaly in our community, actually. But like, man, my little heart goes out to Matt, who has a heart of stone. But my heart goes out to him as I'm learning this story for myself for the first time. So check out Matt's story on the blog, and maybe you too can melt for a heart of stone. And then our brother Kevin, he wrote a blog post, as he also charts his life chronologically, called That One Summer, My Friend Declared His Love for Me. You know, it's a coming of age tale of learning about relationships and community and connecting with the real world, connecting in ministry and connecting in a place like academia. And sometimes relationships are tricky and messy when you're experiencing them for the first time. I mean, they're always tricky and messy. Always. Let alone the first time. Yeah, I mean, that title kind of says it all about someone falling for Kevin, and then what? And what? And then I wrote a post, because I do that too. And it was a little out there, I think, even for me. It was called I'm Giving Up Masturbation for Lent. And you know, it's like, it's one thing to be vulnerable about a broken friendship or about, I don't know, I'm a sensitive boy in a class of rough and tumble boys. Like, that's still vulnerable. I'm not knocking that level of vulnerability. It starts to get a little, I don't know, maybe personal, maybe TMI, like when we start talking about our sex habits. A lot of people refer to masturbation as self-sex. It peeks behind the curtain maybe a little more than some of my other posts do, but it was good. Like, I'm glad I put it out there. We're in the middle of Lent as this is recorded and as this is released. For years, I haven't participated. I used to do it here and there, and I thought about this year a way to like refocus my spiritual walk and to like get back on track, because my life has fallen off in so many ways. Not enough time for this video. Masturbation is kind of the one thing I've always clinged to, as that's going to be my escape, you know. Sure, don't do porn. Sure, don't have inappropriate web conversations with other men. And sure, you know, don't do this, don't do this. Those are like obvious things. But the masturbation card, like, that was the one that I did hold on to, and that I have held on to for, you know, years and years and years and years. And I'm not saying that, you know, after these 40 days, it's going to be smooth sailing. Like, I cut something out of my life for 40 days and it's going to now follow me the rest of my life. At the end of the day, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of letting something control my life the way that it has essentially all my life. Check out that post. If masturbation has always been something that just has had a hold on you, which I suspect it does for a lot of people. You know, we can debate the theology another time of whether it's sinful, whether it's not, but I think we can all agree nothing should control our lives. Nothing should dominate our lives more than Jesus, certainly. And that's when I'm on a mission to start to unravel and unpack as I continue through Lent. So check out my post on the blog. Our good friend Dean wrote a post called Idolatry Ruins a Friendship. We've had a lot of friendship posts on the blog this month. It's like National Friend Month or something. Or National Friendship is Hard Month. This is Dean's final chapter in this series that he's been working on, talking about a friendship that grew codependent, emotionally dependent, emo-dep for those that are longtime fans of our terminology. It's brutal. I've been there. I know so many of you guys have been there where, you know, we experience these intense times of isolation and disconnect, especially from other men. And then some way, somehow we encounter somebody who is like the glowing Moses coming down from the mountain. And he's like everything we want and everything that's so great about life and love and friendship. And gosh, that can derail in a hurry. And I've been there with multiple friends. It's kind of like looking in a mirror in a lot of ways, reading Dean's story unfold. But I believe, honestly, God wastes nothing. God doesn't waste any relationship. And I think if we're willing to look in the mirror, if we're willing to tell our story, if we're willing to admit our faults, if we're willing to look at life as always presenting opportunities to correct past mistakes, I think God absolutely has used failed relationships in my past to impact strong relationships today. There's no doubt in my mind. And so I hope that Dean can walk away encouraged by that, because I'm certainly encouraged and strengthened by Dean, just personally, let alone on the blog. But I hope that if you're watching it too, that if you have a codependent or an idolatrous even relationship that either has failed or is on the way to failing, take hope and take heart that God wastes nothing. Our eldest, most wisest / best voice in the biz, Brother Marshall, he wrote a post called Why I Don't Call Myself Gay. Marshall brings that unique perspective as somebody from another generation to our community. And to be honest, I could have echoed Marshall's words a few years ago. It's not to say that I'm ascended or that I'm right and Marshall is wrong, because I think we all have to draw our lines in different places on this issue of labeling and what we're comfortable with and who we're talking to. I think that's been the biggest thing for me in determining that I can either call myself gay or same-sex attracted, SSA, or non-straight, or a sexual minority. I could honestly use any of those terms, and it's like no longer, like I feel so free just not caring anymore. So if somebody wants to look at me and address me as gay, like, okay, let's have a conversation. If someone wants to say that I'm struggling with same-sex attraction, maybe I'll like address that phrase is kind of outdated, but you know, I get what you're saying. I understand where you're coming from, whether you come from a super progressive background or an ultra conservative one. Like, okay, we've addressed the sexuality card. Now let's talk about whatever you want to talk about. What are we talking about? So some people, absolutely, and we have people comment on Marshall's post that say, yeah, you're spot on, you're totally right. And I'm encouraged that all perspectives are welcome in our community, and that wherever you land on the gay / SSA / 13 other labels you could use, that there's a place for you at our table. If you love Jesus, if you love others, come. And then lastly, we ended our blog with a bang this month with a post from Eugene, The Hidden Blessings of Our Sexualities. And it's such a great post because so often in this community even, I'm guilty of it too. We tend to focus on the struggle, on the nitty-gritty and the hard and raw and kind of gruesome and awful stuff. Because to be fair, that's not stuff that you hear much about from the pulpit or in the pews or in small groups or in like surface level Christianity. So I'm glad that YOB is a place where that can be brought very amply and easily to the table, to the conversation. But yeah, let us not forget how amazing our lives are and the strengths, the God-given strengths we have, either in conjunction with our sexualities or apart from them, or some combination of the two. So Eugene lists out 3 in particular, 3 hidden blessings of our sexuality. So definitely recommend that. If you're looking for a pick-me-up, or if you're looking for just like ways to be encouraged despite your sexuality, despite the struggle that you might face in conjunction with your faith and living out this journey, check out Eugene, see what he had to say. Over in YOBcast land, we do a monthly podcast called Your Other Brothers Podcast. Fancy that. This month, we talked about intimacy. Yes. Intimacy. Intimacy, it's everything. It's sexual, certainly, but it's emotional, it's physical, it's spiritual. And in this episode with Ryan and Jacob, we start a conversation. We start one. Defining what intimacy is and sharing kind of our first experiences of when did we actually first experience intimacy. Like that, hard to define, like it's defined really boringly as just like close or personal, but it's more than that. We all know it's more than that. It's like something extra. There's a sizzle factor to intimacy. And we talked about our first goes with intimacy. It was a great conversation. I loved hearing, not only sharing some of my stories, but also hearing Ryan's and Jacob's. Like I walked away so blessed by that conversation of kind of like getting a sneak peek into a quiet, candlelit room and just like getting to see some meaningful moments with my dear brothers. And if you enjoyed that episode, if you've already listened to it, or if you're about to and you're going to love it, rest assured that was only part 1. We have a part 2 podcast on intimacy coming up in just a couple weeks. And if you are a YOBer or a YOBie, if you support Your Other Brothers on Patreon, you can go to our Patreon feed right now and listen to our next episode of the YOBalog, and that's our bonus podcast, only for financial supporters. So check it out. If you're interested in supporting YOB, it takes a lot of time and effort, energy, logistics, equipment to make this thing run. If you can spare $1 a month, $5 a month, head on over to our Patreon for more information. And then finally, our video of the month. It was our Manly Monday, our monthly series where I talked about CrossFit. CrossFit reveals my biggest struggle is masculinity. And it's something that I've always known. Like I've been fully aware that masculinity absolutely has been the root of my struggle, way more than sexuality ever has. Sexuality has been a struggle, definitely. But at the end of the day, it comes down to masculinity and not feeling like enough of a man, or always feeling like slightly, like maybe I look masculine, maybe this is masculine to you, I don't know. But on the inside at least, I definitely have always viewed myself as with a less than symbol. Not sure how that appears on camera. Yeah, CrossFit, I've been doing that for a couple months now, and it's been a good experience. By and large, it's been very good actually, but it can be humbling when you always finish in last, you're always behind all the other big, strong, bulky, manly men. Sometimes, and I talk about it in the video, like sometimes I could let that get to me, or I could just say, you know what, no. I got out of bed and I'm here. I woke up at 6:30 to be here, and here I am, and I'm doing it. I'm doing the work, and there's like a sense of equalizing. Even though I can look on the surface and see a lot of separation, there's also a lot of equalizing there. So check out that video if you missed it. If there's any CrossFitters watching, CrossFit. So that's going to do it for this month's State of the YOB. Thanks for following all the action, for supporting, for commenting, for interacting with us on social media. We do it for you guys. We do it for our brothers and for our sisters who are also following the journey. That's our blog, podcast, and video. We'll be back soon for another Manly Monday. Thanks again to our incredible, incredible brother for lighting this episode. You're amazing. So until next time, y'all, keep yobbing. Oh, I forget, I snap when it's Manly Monday, and then I just walk away when it's State of the Yob. That's right.